One second. I believe we are live, gentlemen. Let me just confirm real quick on the YouTube because there's a bit of a lag. Give it a second. There we are. We're live, guys. Hell yeah.
Hey.
For once, it's on time, you know? For
Hello,
once, it's on
Galaxy of
time.
Film.
11 minutes passed, man.
I know.
YouTube audience.
I wasn't going to interrupt a conversation like that, dude. Come on.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, man. Give me some credit. Plus, I just had to sit through a Shazam 2 LFG. God, that was rough. Let's go ahead and begin the recording as well.
Yeah, dude.
Shazam waits for no one.
Yeah, you got out of that one, Brandon. Jesus. Honestly, dude, you did yourself a favor with that, man. You did yourself a fucking favor.
Hey, I had no desire to see that movie.
Oh, God, dude. Alex looked at me midway through the movie and was like, "Can we please go?" So bad, dude. So bad. Oh, man. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the brand new episode of Galaxy of Film Live. This week we are talking about HBO's The Last of Us. I'm joined with my slightly shorter co-host, Danilo. How are you doing, man?
I'm chilling, dude. I'm chilling. Good weekend. Good past few days. St. Patty's Day was up. National holiday. Michigan State played basketball. Basketball was going on. Other basketball. So good time. Good time, man. Good time.
Yeah, how was your St. Patty's Day, man? What'd you do?
It was alright, dude. Friends came over. Partied a bit over here. Broke a pong table.
Really?
I was like, why not, dude? I was like, why the fuck not? I'm like, I always see it. People are always jumping on that, breaking it in half. And we did it, dude. We did it. Well, I did it. And then we did it again. We set it back up again. Then Hallie jumped on it. And then I jumped on it again. And we just trashed it. We trashed it. Stained my carpet with water.
With water?
Don't know how carpet stains with water, but we managed to do that. So yeah, no, that was fun. And then we went over and partied some more. And then I was introduced to a new liquor. No, I don't know if it's a liquor, dude. It's like a seltzer. You know me, dude. I'm not a seltzer guy. I'm just usually just give me just the vodka or the tequila, man. And let me mix that shit and call it a day. But Hallie was like, you know what? I need some Cayman Jacks, dude. I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck that is, but okay. So I go and I grab some. And we go out on Friday night. So Saturday night, I mean. We go out Saturday night then. We go out with my other friends to the bars. I'm like, all right, let me try some of these Cayman Jacks. Because I'm not trying to black out, after like my bottle of tequila or vodka, whatever I was feeling that night.
Yeah.
So I had like 4 of those Cayman Jacks, dude. Oh, I was feeling good. We then blacked out later in that night, though, after we went to the bar.
You were texting me about that, man. How was your blackout experience?
It was fun, dude. It was really fun. How was next day? It was pretty bad. But the night of was fun, dude. We had about like 6 green tea shots in us in like a matter of like an hour.
Okay.
So yeah, no, we were chilling, dude. We were chilling. It blows my mind though that the only thing that has yet made me throw up, dude, was tequila because of my birthday and then Halloween. Because I thought for sure Sunday morning came around, I was gonna be yakking.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot that we drank that day.
Dang, man. I also went out drinking for St. Patty's at this little dive bar, actually, with my girl. That was an experience, dude. I had, I almost texted you about this, Brian. Well, obviously, we had other guest stars for our listeners on the podcast, but for the live stream viewers here live for us, clearly you guys see we got Brian from Drink the Movies here, and we got our man Brandon from Galaxy of Film as well. But I almost texted you about this, Brian. This was like a music-themed bar. Kind of like the flip the script for you guys got going on at Drink the Movies. Yeah. So, me being a big, like, No Doubt fan, I mean, No Doubt was my first concert. Of course, I had to go ahead and get myself a Holla Back Girl, which was incredible, dude.
Yeah?
Absolutely fucking incredible. It was coconut rum, banana liqueur, Sprite, and pineapple grenadine. Dude, I mean, I took back like 5 of those in an hour. It's terrible.
Yeah. Okay. This place sounds pretty cool. And, no doubt, some good jams. I thought you were going to sing Holla Back Girl there for a second, but that's okay.
I was debating it, man.
Were you singing it when you were there drinking it? Is the real question.
Of course, dude. This shit is bananas, man. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, he was, dude. He was. Probably after about the second one, he was starting to sing.
No, I was too sick in the first one.
Fourth one, he got up and started dancing.
Yeah, dude.
Get on some elevated surfaces, man. That's always a good call.
That's exactly right, buddy. Joining us this week, though, we have Brian from Drink of the Movies. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Always a good time coming on. I think this is the first time I've been on one of your live streams, though, so that's exciting.
It is.
Exciting stuff. Hello, everyone out there on the Galaxy of Film YouTube. So, yeah, just excited to come on, chat about The Last of Us. It's a game. Max, you and I talked about it, before the series was started and how excited we were about it. And, yeah, just thrilled with it and happy to be coming on to chat about it with you guys.
Hell yeah, man. It's always great having you on, Brian. You're like our podcast uncle, we've always said, But
That's right. Yeah, don't text me too late at night when you're out drinking, that's for sure. I'll be in bed.
Yeah.
So
we can't have you come pick us up just yet. I got to be in Charlotte for that one, bud.
that's right.
God,
Get
did you
this man a
do
Four Loko. Get this man a Four Loko, bro. Get this man the shotgun a Four Loko.
Bro, I still got the sticky note here, man, saying I'll drink it for Kevin Smith. Working on it. Okay, Smith. Come on the damn show, Silent Bob.
Get on it. I did not. I don't think I agreed to shotgun one, but I will have one. Yeah. You lock down Kevin Smith, and I'll procure a Four Loko or two. So.
Working on it, man. We're working on it. He watched, or at least I think he watched it. He liked the tweet about like a surgeon, so I'm taking that as a hopeful message. That's some hope, I guess. Did you do any St. Patty's Day drinking, Brian?
No, not really. It was a pretty quiet night. My parents are in town visiting, so just kind of hung out with them and had myself a Guinness or two and called it a night. It was pretty good night, pretty low key, but
I feel you on that. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong at all. But we also got Brandon here, like I said, from Galaxy of Film. You guys are no stranger to him. I think you've been on almost all the live streams we've done. If not, maybe missing one of them. I forget.
I probably missed one in the time you've done them.
Yeah, but welcome back, Brandon, of course. What about you, man? How have you been? What have you been up to lately? And tell us about your St. Patty's Day shenanigans, man.
It's great to be back doing these. I've been, just chilling like I've always done, working at McDonald's, having the time of my life there. But I was lame on St. Patty's Day. I had maybe like 2 drinks in my house. I didn't really go anywhere. I just stayed home and played video games.
What? What about tonight, man? What are you drinking tonight? You always drink on the show.
Come on, dude. Crack open some Mike's Hard or something, bud.
I don't have any drinks in my house.
What?
I don't have anything.
Max, I feel like we're alcoholics, man.
yeah. Get your act together, Danilo. Max, come on.
God, dude.
But no, I had a pretty eventful weekend though, so that was nice. I went up to Lansing with a couple of my buddies and Saturday night and
What in the world, dude? I was out at the bar Saturday night. Where was the text message, dude?
the text message, bro.
Come on, man. Where were you in Lansing when I was up there?
We would have torn up the town, bro. We would have torn up the town the day after the same.
Another day. We got to get it together.
Come on, dude.
He probably didn't want to pay the $5 cover to get in the fucking bar, dude.
But Saturday night, I went up to Lansing with a couple buddies. Just saw a couple local bands perform at a local bar.
Okay.
I had a great time there.
Nothing wrong with that, dude. That's why I did the dive bar. It was a live music bar. Always a great time.
Yeah, it was. You could tell like they had the setup for whenever they have like bands perform. So, it was like good little night. And then the next day, I did another one of my D&D sessions. So
okay.
That was pretty fun.
Hell yeah,
cool.
dude.
So I got a question. Right. So when you went to that music thing in Lansing, was it in Lansing or was it in East Lansing?
It was in Lansing.
Was it on that strip that it's like just one road? It's just a straight shot into the Capitol. Was it that road?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No, not where we were.
All right, because when I had a summer job I did a summer job over in Lansing for a hot minute, and I remember there was always one bar that was popping off on Saturdays and Fridays with live music. And I always wondered what it was.
So I think the name of the it was called like Max Bar or something like that. I don't know if you're
Bar.
familiar with that. Yeah. It's like some.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Max.
Was it Max Bar?
MAC. Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
shit! No.
Yep,
Oh my
that's
God,
exactly what it is. Yeah, dude.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
it's in Lansing, and
Yeah, because
Yeah,
there's like
dude,
a couple. There's like a couple buildings like surrounding it.
yeah,
Or, like,
and
kind of, like,
yeah,
attached to it.
and that's the street. Like, if you just take that street like continuously straight, you hit the Capitol.
Oh, I never realized that. We took a different
Yeah.
route, so I didn't know. I wasn't familiar with the area.
Gotcha.
But no.
But that's dope.
But yeah,
man.
yeah, that was a fun night though. I had a drink with me.
Dang, man. Sounds pretty lit, bro. You know what'd be more lit? If you were there for Pablo's Big City Blues, dude.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
dude.
I know.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I have to show off the T-shirt, dude.
Go
Before we
ahead
get
and
into
get the
that,
t-shirt
let's-
real quick. I'm gonna read the chat real quick, because we got our man Gamer Harold in the chat. He's coming on tomorrow's LFG talking Shazam Fear of the Gods with me. But Brandon, he left a comment for you, dude. We got says, sounds like a great day to me, and you work at McDonald's too, burger and gaming.
All right, dude. So just some background, real quick.
All right.
Max knows that when we go out, or when I go out after 10:30, my name turns into Pablo when I'm at the bar. Ain't no one calling me Danilo anymore because it's just too long of a conversation, you know. I like my Long Island iced teas and I like Chili's. Birthday was like, I don't know, a month ago, around there. I have two great friends up here. One of them got me this dope ass shirt, dude, and it's Pablo from the Backyardigans with a Long Island
Nice.
iced tea and a chili bag. This has to be the
That's pretty
greatest gift
sick.
I've ever gotten in my entire life, dude. This shit's lit.
Where do you get the shirt?
I don't know. Oh, shout out to Nice T-shirt. Thanks, I think.
Is that the company that made the shirt?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so shout out
We
to
just
Nice
asked you.
Nice Shirt Thanks.co on Instagram. Shout out to them.
It's
So
a
I
real
guess
sick
they-
one, dude.
It's,
Sorry,
yeah,
dude.
it's
What do you
pretty
mean?
sick.
Yeah, okay, sick. Let's talk about The Last of Us, man.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, Last of Us. We're going to go ahead and be breaking this up into, 3-episode segments, kind of like arcs for us. There's a total of 9 episodes for this show. Danilo, get us started, man.
Yeah, dude, never played this game in my life. The show looked decent, though. Yeah, first 3 episodes, if you played the game, you know what the hell's happening. We get the fucking... Actually, you don't know what the hell's happening, because the 3rd episode's nothing like the game. First episode's just like the game. 40 minutes of them just riding around, trying to swarm off the infected. You're like, oh my god, what the hell happened? Next episode, that fucking one girl's in it, dude. They're looking for a car battery or something. She fucking gets obliterated. And I'm like, thank God, dude. She was annoying. Didn't want to see her go on this journey with my boy Pedro and Ellie. Then the 3rd episode is about, I don't know, 2 farmers in this one town. And they're just Bill. Classic American name. Bill survived the pandemic, dude. And he's chilling with his homeboy. And then they die at the end.
You really didn't play the game, dude.
They pull a Romeo and Juliet at the end, kind of.
Did you watch the series?
I did, dude. Good series.
okay.
Good series.
Jesus Christ.
Cold opens were dope though in the first 2 episodes. I like that. Thought that was really cool. Touch.
There were some cold opens. You're right, dude.
True.
There was just the first 2, I think? Or was there a 4th one? Or a 3rd
Yeah.
and a 4th episode?
No, it was just-
I think it was only the first 2.
Dang,
Yeah.
man. Great recaps, buddy. Great recaps. Let's talk about episode 1, I guess. Sick one, Danilo.
Hey, always prepared here. You guys watch the show. You know what the hell happened in the show. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. We watch the show.
Yeah, this is like
Or
this
play the
year's
game.
Euphoria.
Or play the game.
dude.
Or play the game. One of the 2.
Last of Us Season 1 is this year's Euphoria, where everyone was turning in HBO Max weekly, which is nice, dude. Like, it's cool to have that 9 o'clock, Sunday night spot for a show again. Haven't had that in a while.
Yeah.
But, Brandon, what is your initial thoughts coming into this? Like, did you play the game at all?
I did play the game.
Okay, sweet.
So I have a PS4 and I play. I actually, like, strangely enough, my first time playing the game was like just right before the pandemic. So I blasted through that whole thing, like probably like mid-January, like that mid-January before everything just shut down and stuff like that. So
Mm.
it's actually been a while since I've played the game, and which, strangely enough, I should really get back into playing that. But yeah, I was high hopes for this game because I just knew like this game was made to be like cinematically shown to viewers, either in a movie or like just in a TV show. Like this was made to be consumed by a wider audience. So I was really looking forward to this series when it first became announced.
Okay, I feel you on that, dude. I do agree. This did deserve a much broader audience than the games for sure. Brian, what about you? Because you also play the games too. You play both of them, right?
Yeah, so I played The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, this was something I picked up way back in 2013 when it first came out for the PlayStation 3, and then you had the remaster came out on PlayStation 4 like the next year when the PlayStation 4 released, and then they just released the remake, which is called The Last of Us Part 1 now. That kind of brings the graphics and the gameplay up to the same level as The Last of Us Part 2. So I bought it again this year. So that's 3 times. It's come out 3 times I've bought it, and at least the 3 times that I've played it. So yeah, when the story was coming out, like Brandon said, it's a story that's worth telling. And you guys hit on the fact that The Last of Us sold really well. It won like, I don't know, like 1 million Game of the Year awards. Everyone who had a PlayStation had it, but that number is very small compared to the number of people that will watch it on something like HBO or go and see it at a movie theater or something like that. So from that standpoint, I think it's really important for stories that are excellent like this to get out there, because you have a lot of people out there. My wife is a great example. She's not going to sit for 25 hours and play the game. She's not going to watch me play the game for 25 hours, but she will turn on HBO for an hour on Sunday and watch it and get that story. So yeah, I think is really important story to tell, and I was psyched for it. HBO rarely does anything that isn't at least pretty good. Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, I was excited to see what they did with it. I knew Neil Druckmann was coming in. I knew what's his name? Chernobyl was going to be the other showrunner here on it, and Chernobyl is amazing. So yeah, bring it on. I was very excited for it.
Dang, so you played the PS5 remake as well. That's awesome, dude. It was weird. Like this, I was there for the initial release of The Last of Us, but I was really into Uncharted at the time and really invested in that and trying to catch up for Uncharted 4. Franchise. So I didn't play Last of Us until I think like 2016 or 17, and I played the PS4 version right away, the remaster. I have yet to play the PS5 remake. I did play Part 2 right away. I fell in love with that one as well. I'd have the, not the Ellie edition, but the standard collector's edition with the statue without the bag. But no, I'm agreeing with everything you guys are saying. Like, this is a story that definitely needed a much broader way to be able to tell, because it's so emotional and impactful, Like, yeah, I cannot convince everyone to play this game. And not just that, like, even if people are my friends that I'm recommending to that are gamers, not everyone has a PlayStation, obviously. And with this being exclusive, a lot of people missed out on that too. But I'm sure, I don't remember like the exact percentages off the top of my head or anything like that, but this was definitely one of those games to make people want to buy that console, PS3 and a PS4. But yeah, man, Danilo, so you're the only one who didn't watch this thing, or play the game, excuse me, in this group. How pumped were you, like, for the show, not knowing anything with this?
Not really. I played the first opening 20 minutes of the game when the whole infecting starts and his daughter gets shot in a suspense class for filmmaking at Oakland. And that was actually it was a good game, and I'm like, well, this is cool. I'm just not a gamer. Max knows this. I have a PS5 and I play 2 fucking games on it. But I'm just not a gamer, and I'm not going to spend 20 hours invested into just a storytelling game. Like, I have to be doing something else. And I know it was like zombies coming and taking over the world, or that's like the bad guy, I guess, per se. So when the HBO said they were going to do a show with it, I'm like, that's cool. Because speaking off to Brian's point, HBO rarely does a show that's bad. It can be average plus is basically what it is. But I've never seen an HBO show that's like just dog shit, And if they bring in the people from Chernobyl and the actual writers from the game, they're bringing in good directors. Like clearly, that we're going to see some good type of product. So I was semi pumped for it. The thing I didn't know about it was I thought this was a story game where you're fighting zombies, kind of like Call of Duty. Let's say you know how you fight zombies in there.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay. Like, how silly is this show gonna be now if we're just fighting I know they're called the infected, but I thought they were zombies the entire time. How silly is this show gonna be when it comes to like those sequences? And I even said that in like one of the first few episodes because there's that trailer the trailer shows the big infected guy coming out from the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well this just looks silly now. Like, what's he gonna do? He's just gonna fight an infected like you fight him in a video game. Like that's not something I really want. I'm really looking forward to seeing on a television set. Lo and behold, though, just like my experience with the first Blade Runner, that's far from what this story is about at all. So I was blown away by the first episode. I really loved the first opening, like 40 minutes, hour, or whatever. How it was just basically a longer, extended version of what I played. The only gameplay I did play for the game. Like I thought that was just dope as hell. But no, I was pumped for it after episode 1 for sure. Like once I watched episode 1 in its entirety, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get behind this show fully and see where this story takes us because it's clearly not about fighting zombies.
Yeah, and well, there's a lot more of that in the games too. Hopefully this makes you want to play the games because they are incredible and there's a lot more to them, obviously. But yeah, man, no, episode 1, which is basically the whole infected first settling in sequence of Joel and his daughter. Then we get to him and Tess having this mission to get the car battery and meeting Ellie, and basically like their escape from the city to go retrieve said car battery is the first episode. So even with this not being like a beat for beat recreation of the game necessarily, you did quite enjoy this, right, Danilo?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed episode 1 for sure.
Okay, gotcha. And Brandon, what were some of your thoughts on the first episode being true to the game?
Yeah, like you said, like it wasn't a beat for beat like recreation of the opening scene, but I really enjoyed how it was like a good mix of it. Where we get just right before like the game actually starts, just to get a little bit more context to what was happening before everything just completely went to shit. Especially with that beautiful cold opening to start the show. It really just set the tone for the whole show, pretty much. So that was really nicely done. I do like some of the callback. I did like some of the callbacks to that scene where we just get that long, just one shot of them in the car and just having everything just around them just transpire. I thought that was just beautifully well done. I liked how it was in like that hour and a half long show just to give like just enough to like really hook in the viewers. I was thoroughly entertained from beginning to start on that first episode.
I feel you, dude, and I love that the car sequence. It feels like a cutscene in that moment.
It definitely made me feel like I was replaying the game again.
Yeah, that's an incredible shot, dude. That scene's my favorite scene from episode 1 for sure.
Oh, for sure, me too.
So goddamn good. Episode 2, we discovered that Ellie is immune in this. We get the whole sequence with Tess dying, which is a bit different from the game as well. She ends up having this really cool, like, infected kiss with an infected member right before, like, exploding the grenade and sacrificing herself because she is bit by one or scratched, I forget. In the game, we just kind of see, she's left behind. We see the explosion, we know what happens, but we don't get the moment of her actually dying on camera and fading away. But Brian, what were some of your thoughts on episode 1 and episode 2 with that big change for Tess?
Yeah, so I really like the cold opens. You get the cold open here in the first and second episodes. That kind of lay the groundwork for what's happening and sets up kind of the future for the game. Especially in episode 2 when they're talking to the scientist in Indonesia, and she's just like, bomb the cities, which makes sense then because you're playing the game and these cities are just destroyed. And 20 years is a long time for places to go in disrepair, but not to look exactly like that. So it was a real fine line they had to walk, right, between people that had played the games, who knew the story and these characters really intimately, but then a whole new crop of people that didn't know anything about the game or anything about like the way that these characters worked, the way that the infected worked, any of that. So I think that they did a really good job of doing that. And along with that, you do have to change some things from a storytelling perspective, and just in like a narrative sense. So you take something like Tess, and it is a little bit different from the game, but it has to make sense within the confines of what you're able to do in a TV show, because you're only getting, I don't know, 9-ish hours to tell the story as opposed to, 20, 25 hours. And you have to connect with people in a different way. So it has to be satisfying to people who know the story, and it has to expand upon what you know, and, make you want to learn more of those side stories that you don't get in the game. But it also has to be digestible for people who are just coming into this fresh. So I really liked it. I really liked Tess as a character. I liked kind of the way they portrayed her in the show. I liked her kind of final sacrifice there. And as we go through the episodes, it's really just an exploration of these different relationships that Joel is kind of observing as he is coming to terms over these 9 episodes of his loss of his daughter there, Sarah, in the first episode.
Yeah, man. Tessa's sacrifice in this is gorgeous too, which is really nice to see fleshed out a bit more. Because, like, I hate to say it, like, playing the game, like, I just didn't care about Tessa's sacrifice, more or less. She's in the game for the first hour, hour and a half, she feels very throwaway right from the get-go. So it's really nice to see the sacrifice have impact to the show, which is really important for me. Danilo, you didn't have, that knowledge of the game or anything. How was that sacrifice for you watching that on camera?
I was happy to see Tess go, dude. She was just annoying me the whole fucking first episode and then second. So when she was like toast or whatever, I was like, that's one, dude. Now I just get to watch, your regular trope of Cub and Wolf or whatever the hell that trope is. And I was ready to just see them flourish.
Wolf and Cub, you were so close.
Yeah, Wolf and Cub. There we go, Wolf and Cub. I was ready to just see that flourish now. And I'm like, here comes the good storytelling. Not that anything before it was bad, but I don't know. I didn't care. Like, I felt like she was going to die anyway, because you see the pig, like you like. I didn't play the game, but I know it's their story. I know it's Ellie and Pedro's story, or Joel, Ellie and Joel's story. So I knew at one point this character is gonna die. I didn't know how fast it was gonna be, how long she makes it into the woods or whatever. But process of elimination is, she's going.
Jesus, too.
Yeah, I will say she seemed a much more important character in this story than she does in the game. Because I kind of agree with you, Max, where you get to the game and you're like, oh, that's terrible. This lady I've been running around with, and she got bit, and that's sad. But here in this story, she felt more monumental to Joel, and then she keeps being brought back up as we go through the story. So we get to episode 3, and Bill and Frank, we're seeing her interact there. Tommy brings her up later, and every time Ellie says her name, and the way Joel reacts to it, she felt more monumental and more substantial in Joel's life than she did in the game.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, yeah, there was more of a relationship in the show between her and Joel than we got more in the game. So it was at least nice to have that bit of context going into like the first couple episodes.
No, absolutely, dude. I agree with both of you on that one. It's nice seeing her in a flashback scene in episode 3 with Bill and Frank. We'll get to that. This one is where the show kind of, took its steps away from the game, which was really interesting. Bill is this character that, like, he's in a town almost like Walking Dead style, where he's fenced off everything in the town. Everything's booby-trapped. Kind of like Alexandria, if you ever watched Walking Dead. And he's kind of like the crazy doomsday prepper, more or less. An infected comes and overruns this town, and Ellie and Joel have to escape after... I forget what they get from Bill in that scene, in the game, excuse me. But in this episode, we're stepping away from Joel and Ellie, and we're getting the whole backstory between Bill and Frank, which is really interesting because that's more or less just a little, like, throwaway line or two in the game. Like, we do see Frank's body when Bill discovers it, and he mentions that was his partner and whatnot. But that's more or less it. I think that's the only mention of Frank is that one line in the game. And this whole episode is a beautiful and tragic, like, love story between the two of them. And this whole... it goes through almost the entire 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Because we see, right when the apocalypse is happening, or basically doomsday for everything, Bill is in, like, the little basement, just hiding out from the government coming and just fucking offing people. So what were your thoughts on this one, having played the game, Brian?
Well, this episode was beautiful. It was sad and wrenching and lovely and all those things. And yeah, you're exactly right, Max. It was basically you kind of go through that section. Bill says a couple of times about his partner, and then you end up going into Frank's house. Where Frank has died, and then you learn that Frank was his partner, and that the goal in that section of the game is to get a car battery, I think. But it really doesn't do anything story wise with Bill, other than you get there and he's kind of agitated, and Ellie keeps swearing at him, and then you go and you fight a bunch of infected, and then you get the car battery and leave. That's kind of where it leaves it. So, this is kind of an exploration of their relationship, and any good zombie trope story is not really a story about zombies. It's about people and the relationships they have with the zombies as a backdrop to that. So I thought that was really great, and really interesting, and a really interesting take. You could almost take episode 3 out of the series and just have it be its own standalone thing. Joel and Ellie are very inconsequential in the in the theme and the overall presentation of this thing. But yeah, I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. The acting was staggeringly good. Murray Bartlett, I think is his name, who played Frank. Ron Swanson, gets all the credit there for playing Bill, but Murray was absolutely great as Frank. And yeah, I thought that the episode was great. And it kind of at that point you realize that this series was going to take turns from the game to explore things and explore stories that they wanted to tell in the game that you can't, because you're just seeing it through Joel's eyes. So
yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And yeah, man, Nick Offerman gets a ton of credit for playing Bill. And Frank's great as well. Incredible performance. Not really familiar with him as an actor much, but like personally, I haven't seen Parks and Rec. I've seen tons of memes about it. I've seen like clips here and there, like obviously like the Patton Oswalt Book of Boba Fett synopsis episode. Basically, I've seen that 100 times. So I was really, really impressed seeing a character who's basically in like the Office type setting come out and give a performance like this. Blew me away. Brandon, what were some of your thoughts on this episode? Because you also play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this episode was just, again, like Brian said, it was really beautiful. And yeah, this was the very first time where like it deviates from the original source material, but I think what it makes up for, and I'm so glad that Neil Druckmann was still like a part of the show when it first got announced, because he still kept what made The Last of Us so special, the game, and thematically, and like what it actually means. So I do like how like we got that little glimpse of like, even in this like the fucked up situation, there's still this emotion and this love that can still be carried on in that current life. So I think it was just really like well told from this, like, get this whole pretty much relationship between these two characters. And I was not gonna lie, I thought they were gonna leave with like with the ending shot. I really thought they were gonna go for I thought Bill was gonna like come back at the end some way, because of how they revealed it, and they didn't show either of the bodies, so it made me think in the back of my head like he's gonna come up somehow. Ultimately he didn't, spoiler, but yeah, it was just a really good like poetic episode. That just, it almost kind of like hypnotized you in a way, I guess, of just how touching this the relationship was. And yeah, I'm glad that we got this, like, we got more of this history between Bill and Frank than we did in the game. And I'm kind of I'm not like gonna be over like mad that like we didn't get like the Bill and Ellie confrontation or anything like that, because that's not like, sure, it was like great for the game, but like that wasn't what the show was going for. So I'm glad that it worked out this way.
I feel you, man. I agree, though. Like, my entire time watching this, this is one of the episodes in the show where I really didn't feel the runtime. So when we're actually getting to the sequence when Frank's like, put me to bed and that whole stuff, I didn't feel like the end of the episode for me. I really thought that Bill was going to come back, like you said, and I thought from then on we'll get the full game experience. We'll just have weight to his sacrifice in that one, basically. So I absolutely agree with you on that, man. And I love the ending shot of the window. It's gorgeous because it's one of the shots from Last of Us Part 2 in the game that you see, basically recreated. Just gorgeous, dude. There's a lot of Easter eggs, whether it be like different camera shots or audio cues, music cues coming in, throwaway characters or just cameos you see in the show that are from both of the games, which is really nice to see for sure. Danilo, you haven't played the game, of course, so what were your thoughts on this one?
The end of this episode was where I knew I would really like this show, and I kind of knew like what the hell like we're seeing here, and that's going to be in this 9 episodic, story that's being told, and it's just basically loss. Like even at the very end of this thing, like all it is just like everyone loses. Like there's not really a winner in this little apocalyptic world, so to speak, and I really enjoyed that in this episode. And then I thought it helped a lot then with, I don't even know the girl's name who died in the last episode that we literally just talked about.
Tess.
But I think, her. I think it helps with that as well when it comes to Joel then, like everyone was saying at the end. Just this amount of just loss that everyone is having in this like little story and how everyone deals with it quite differently.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that guy had like cancer or something wrong with him, so he was going to go. But Offerman didn't have to die. Like Offerman still could have lived a fine life. But he couldn't have dealt with, that type of pain and that type of loss. And I don't know. It spoke volumes to how emotional they're going to make this show. And I thought it was very, very good. And like you said, I didn't play this game. I didn't know who the hell Frank and Bill were. I watched the little end credit scenes that they do when they're like, yeah, they mentioned Frank in one line in the game. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. So this is just new stories that they're writing.
Oh, you mean the post-show little
yeah, behind the scenes. Yeah, I don't know what that it's even called, dude. But yeah, no, I think it worked out very well for this episode. I liked what I was watching, dude. Like it was just a little love story basically in the middle of an apocalyptic world. Mm-hmm. And we also see a flashback too, which I thought was pretty cool. Because I think this was our last one before we get to like Ellie's like actual flashback. But we did the cold opens and then we got this big flashback, and that's what really started us off when she saw all those dead bodies. When Ellie and Joel were walking. And I'm like, oh geez. Kind of a rough town, a rough way that I don't know what they call Fedra, right? Fedra.
Yeah.
Fedra was up to some bullshit, dude.
Fedra was up to some bullshit. That's right, man. Real quick though, before you give your recaps on the next 3 episodes, you brought up the little behind the scenes stuff at the end of this, dude. I fucking love this show. Super happy that was included. Dude.
Those helped me for someone who didn't watch the game because they explained the game every now and then about it. So I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, man, that was pretty nice, man. It reminds me a lot of like Talking Dead of Chris Hardwick, back when Walking Dead was good, Yeah. Gosh. So go ahead, Danilo, give us your recaps on episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, dude. Then we get to these 2 fucking episodes about, I don't even know what it is, dude, but they're in like Kansas City now, and we're having like Rebels 1. They beat Fedra, so it's just people. And I think Joel even says that, like, it's just people, and they're driving, their car battery dies, they get into a big shootout, and we're just chilling with these people. And we get these 2 characters, 2 brothers, younger and older, who are surviving the city on the run from an entire fucking Kansas City, it seems like. Blows my fucking mind how they're surviving right now, but whatever. But they just run around the town, Joel and Ellie meet them, they go into the basement, yada, 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 they escape. The infected come and take out half the Kansas City people. It bites the guy, the little brother in this little group or whatever, and then Ellie tries to fix him with a little impromptu blood transfusion. Back in the day, it would be called Blood Brothers, I think. Shout out to the Outsiders. I think that's what they did in that book. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I think that's right, dude. That is Blood or Outsiders.
They did do that. Okay, dude. Shout out to English teacher right here. Anyway, though, dude, she lost because then he tried to kill at the end, and then the brother had to shoot him in the head. And then he shot himself because he couldn't deal with that loss. So once again, we're dealing with loss. And then Ellie said sorry on the little Etch-a-Sketch. And then we finally got away from there, and then we finally get to Wyoming. Right? That's where they're going, Wyoming?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we meet his brother. We're linked up with his brother again. Blew my fucking mind that this guy was still going to be alive, dude. I'm like, really wonder what, maybe they flesh out in the game, but It's really interesting that they were like they're together in the beginning in the first 40 minutes of this whole entire thing, dealt through all this, and then they just in totally different states. Like that's a bit odd, but whatever. They kind of allude to it. He settles down. He's having a wife, and kids, and all that. And then this is where Ellie and Joel get like real into it at the end, where Ellie's like, "Everyone who I love has left me," and Joel's like, "Shut the fuck up! You're not my daughter." And I'm like, "Whoa, Joel, chill, dude." But he didn't chill until the next morning when he was like, "Just kidding, Ellie. I'm here for you." Yeah. And then they ride off into They keep going because they got to go to a different science lab. They have to go to a science lab. So yeah.
Yeah. Then Joel gets stabbed, dude.
Oh yeah, that's still in this episode. Yeah. My bad, dude. Joel gets stabbed because they find the science lab and it's just not there. He gets stabbed and then he almost dies.
Real sick one. You stuck the land on that one, buddy. Jesus Christ, man. Episode 4, let's start off with this one. This is probably like my least favorite episode of the series, low-key. We're introducing some characters in Kansas City, like you said, like the whole town is just kind of like swarmed with this, like, basically like a little like militia, which is pretty cool because, you know, Tommy, Joel's brother, is reintroduced in episode 6 to him, but the actor who plays Tommy in the games is in episode 4 and 5. He's the long-bearded guy. I forget his character's name. They're all kind of throwaway.
His name's Perry. He's played by Jeffrey Pierce. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, dude. That's not a throwaway character.
Come on, Max. Dude. Come on.
He was a throwaway character.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
The whole group was ultimately nothing by the end of that.
And you're the one talking.
Episode 5, really.
You're the one talking about him, Max. So.
You got a good point on that one, Brian.
You got us there. Yeah, you got us there on that one.
Jesus Christ. More or less, we get some good Ellie and Joel banter in this episode, which is really enjoyable to see throughout this one. So they go to Kansas City, and they get the kind of... This one reminded me so much of Walking Dead because of the attack in the street. And I get that. We see it in the game, of course, as well. But the way this was shot reminds me so much of Season 1 when they're in Atlanta. And because of that, this is like my least favorite episode. It has a great cliffhanger, though, where we see Sam and Henry invade the little skyscraper that Joel and Ellie are camping out in after a really, like, touching moment, because this is the episode where not only are we getting the Joel and Ellie banter, but we kind of see the connection with them, where Joel starts to kind of realize he's giving a shit about this kid. This isn't just cargo, like he later says, and tries to deny himself of it. So that cliffhanger, though, man, is pretty great. It's pretty fucking awesome, especially with Sam just with a finger over his mouth. Brandon, what were some of your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't the most, like... It was probably my least favorite. Not to say it was bad or anything, but compared to the other episodes, this was probably the weakest one. I think it just ended a little too abruptly for me. Like, I think it's probably the shortest episode of the whole show. Mm-hmm. Or at least, like, one of them. I did like them, like, fighting off the militia group, and the cliffhanger was actually really good. I do like that little touch of Joe, like, sleeping on his right ear because he's deaf in that ear, so he couldn't hear Sam and his brother come in, so I thought that was a nice touch to, like, the whole cliffhanger thing. But yeah, not really that much to say. Like you said, Max, like we start to see like that bond showing between Joel and Ellie in this episode. Like very little, but like it's starting to like come together in this episode. So that was nice to like that was nice with all the banter and all that stuff. I do like that running thing of like Ellie like wanting to like help and Joel's like, no, you just gotta I gotta protect you and all that stuff, so give me the gun or whatever. So I like that like little running theme with that, but otherwise this was kind of like it was kind of an alright episode.
I feel you on that, man. I agree. The whole Joel being the protector and Ellie not realizing Ellie is more mature than what she is. That relationship's cool. That dynamic. Absolutely, man. Brian, what were some of your thoughts on episodes 4 and 5 as well? 5 is the episode where Sam and Henry are kind of chilling with Joel and Ellie, making their way through Kansas City, making their way out. We get some really, really good like moments of Ellie and Sam like being a kid. You know, they grew up in this apocalyptic world. You know, they have no recollection. They weren't around prior to this happening, so they never got to live normal lives. And we get to see them kind of have like an hour or two to themselves and be kids for once in this terrible, terrible world. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so the story kind of slows down here a little bit, and episode 4 I think is the shortest one, especially coming after of like an hour and 15 minutes. The previous one, the Bill and Frank episode, so it did feel kind of short, but the episode 5 was an hour, so it was a little bit too long, I think, to put these together, even though they, are taking place kind of in the same place and telling, kind of one continuous story here. But I liked Please Hold My Hand. It kind of did some things. It too probably is my least favorite, I guess, of the 9 episodes. But
Okay.
you see Ellie save Joel, which is kind of a recurring theme is of people saving Joel. Joel's never really the one that's doing the saving, even though he's trying to be kind of this protector figure. But he says to her after, that you shouldn't have to do things like this because you're just a kid, which is the first time that he kind of humanizes Ellie. He's always kind of referred to her as, being this cargo, being this thing that he's trying to deliver. But now he's starting to see her as a person, as a young girl that is, under his protection, which I think is neat. I didn't really love, I guess, the kind of way that they. I don't know. I take that back. You have Kathleen and Perry, I guess, who are running kind of this resistance group. I guess just the people in Kansas City that are there. I didn't get enough of their story, I don't think, but I did like that you were starting to see things kind of from their perspective, which is neat that you can do in a TV show versus a game. Like I just mentioned, you're seeing everything, from Joel's perspective in the game, but here you can kind of bounce around, obviously, because it's more narrative. So you can kind of see, their angle, what their motivations are, why they're doing the things that they're doing, and the emotions they're feeling. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then Henry and Sam, that's awful. That's the worst. It's just another gut punch. You get one of these in every episode. You get Ellie and Sam getting to play some soccer down in that sewer or subway tunnel or whatever they were. One kind of last chance to be kids, and the way that Ellie's starting to process things, as a 14-year-old might, trying to do the blood transfusion, trying to, make everything okay. She's not quite grown up enough, I guess, to realize what's going on. And as these things are settling in, and then you kind of see, her innocence lost there. She writes on that little scratch pad thing that has the craziest sound design for that thing when they're tearing that sheet off when he's writing the notes. But I thought it was really great. You had the big reveal of the bloater, which was fun. Kind of there in that section. It was really, I think that was the last of the clickers really that we saw in the series. So
Yeah, you're right now that I think about that. And that was cool because obviously the bloater is a boss fight in the game, clearly. And it's very much a boss fight like moment with him rising up from the like sinkhole collapsing of all the clickers down below from the tunnels. That whole sequence, I think, where the sniper's in the house and lined up with the cars in front of it, where obviously this is in the game too. This moment feels the most like a video game, which is really neat. I know back on the podcast before, or I think it was like the first image from the show released, when it was like Joel and Ellie looking up at the hill on that plane that crashed. Me and Jake from Mayhem Pictures were talking about how like we were super curious how much of this show would feel like the game, like from a third-person perspective for camera movements. This whole sequence was done excellently as far as that goes. It truly does feel like a level, Danilo, what are some of your thoughts on episodes 4 and 5?
Yeah, so 2-3 years ago, a little show came out called The Clone Wars. They had 3 arcs. Middle arc was the Marta sisters. Most Star Wars fans hated that. I actually thought it was really cool, but I understood why they have to have that in there to so it makes sense for Ahsoka's arc. That is exactly how I felt about these 2 episodes. They're not nowhere near close to my favorite. I don't enjoy them as much as the rest of the show. I felt like we could have skipped it, but I know we can't, because at the end of the day, Like these 2 episodes contribute so much to Ellie's character, so much to like that second to last episode with Churchman, and all that, and then obviously the one with her friend. They were doing that pun joke or whatever. They were doing the puns with Joel.
The joke book.
And then, yeah, the joke book. We see that again at the end. She doesn't even know what a screenshot is. And that's when I realized, like, oh, she wasn't born before the outbreak or whatever, where I thought she was. I thought she was at least, like, 6 or 7 with the outbreak, but I don't know how to do math. So, if we tried to do the math, it would have added up where it was.
Hold on, dude. I'm just impressed you can read. You read The Outsiders, dude. Proud of you for that one.
I was like in 5th grade, dude, and someone read it to me. Watch that. Anyway, though, dude. Yeah, I was blown away. It just wasn't my favorite episodes. They weren't my favorite. But it contributes so much to her character. 100%. Like, she is clearly going through these awful things, seeing all these things when she should just be, playing with the friend, playing soccer, outside. Soccer is one of the most outdoor sports you're supposed to play. And you hardly ever play it with cement. And here they're kicking a ball against a brick wall, and it's like, yeah, like that can, Then obviously we get more, and it contributes to Joel as well, because the guy knows that he's a father, just by heart and blood. He is a father. I forget the guy's name, but the older brother of the 2, and and he was telling Joel, like, you're a father to her. And that's when Joel kind of shuts down. He's like, no, we got a mission to do, all that bullshit. But I get why these 2 episodes are in there. It's dialogue heavy. It does wonders for Joel's character and for Ellie's character. And it helps their arc so much more at the end of the show. So I understand. Just not my favorite episodes. Don't really know why. Because it's not like it was bad by any means. I was just like, if I ever rewatch it, I'm going to skip these 2 episodes.
Okay, that's fair, dude. That's interesting, though, honestly, your thoughts on that, too, because, like, this hit hard, especially from playing the game. Like, obviously, Sam and Henry's entire situation, their deaths are a very sad thing in the game, but seeing them, like, in live action is a totally different feeling. Like, I knew what happened. I still gasped seeing, when that gun went off in that scene. Yeah, man, just fucking tragic. Very tragic. So it's interesting hearing, this one was one of your 2 favorites. But, hot take, though, comparing to the Martez Sisters episode. I'm here for it, though. Very much here for it. Brandon, what are your thoughts on episodes 5 and 6? Episode 6, we finally get to Tommy's civilization. I forget what the town's called. Just Jackson, I think. Right, Brian? I think Jackson?
Yep.
Yeah. So right with Jackson, we're introduced to Tommy's wife. We realize, hey, firefighters are not here. Firefighters are still further across the country. You can keep going. You can rest up here, basically. And we kind of see that whole conversation like Daniel was talking about. The banter between, the argument between Ellie and Joel, where Joel's kind of like deflecting and catching himself, valuing Ellie. And he's like, no, I can't let this happen. She's just cargo. And then we see how quickly he falls back on this. They arrive in the university, and Joel is stabbed. And we get the incredible cliffhanger. Obviously we 3 have played the game. I can only imagine if Daniil thought that was a real cliffhanger or not. But from someone who has played the game and is just trying to view it from just a show standpoint, I thought it was a great cliffhanger, personally. It was shot beautifully as well, too, with him falling off the horse. What were your thoughts on this one, though, Brandon? The 2 episodes, 5 and 6.
Yeah, let me start with episode 5. Personally, this was my favorite episode.
Okay.
Of the whole show, just because it just perfectly blended suspense, and joy and sadness all rolled up into one. And like you guys are talking about, this was like the turning point for Joel and Ellie's characters, from like a characterization point of view. Like I said, I haven't played this game in a couple years, so when Sam and Henry first arrived, when we get to first see them, they were just pretty cool. I do also like the touch of having Sam be deaf,
yes,
compared to the game. I thought, and making him younger, which just adds that just emotional depth to the episode when we get to it. So from going back a couple years from playing the game, I almost forgot like everything about it. So like when all four of them were traveling down the tunnels in Kansas City, and they were all just talking like we're all gonna be like gonna just go on this journey together for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, like I want to see all these guys like together, and then like halfway through, like I realized like, oh shit, this is Sam, and this is when Sam and Henry die. Like, oh yeah, like it just like clicked for me. Like, oh my god, like this was gonna happen. So I was legitimately crying, like just watching all this transpire. And it was just so moving, and just Ellie like looking like at the grave, and then just turning like, come on, we gotta go. Like that was just like just so powerful for her character, I guess. Because she realizes like this is not a game anymore. Like this is like what life is now. So she's got to like carry on with this, until or like pretty much for the rest of her life now. And so it was all just. I thought it was all just like perfectly, like, all balled up into like just this beautiful episode. Episode 6. This was a turning point for me, really, because this is when I kind of fell off the show. Like,
Oh.
not in the sense of like it being bad or anything, but just like having it be like a show where I have to watch it every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
So this was the episode 6 was like the first one where like I had to wait, or
Okay.
I waited a couple days before I actually saw it, and that just became a running theme for the second half of the show, which I don't know what like drew me into that. Like I don't know specifically what caused me to do that, but yeah, I don't know. Like after that, like it just became like something like, like a new episode's on. I'll just wait a couple
Yeah.
days, for it for me to watch it. Um, and so episode 6 was a strange one because this was the first one where it felt like an actual TV episode, just on how the structure was, and like Joel and Ellie go to this new location, and there's this and then they had the Tommy and Joel situation. Like this was the first episode where like it felt more like not a generic, but like more tropey TV episodes, I guess,
Oh, I see that.
where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where like there was like just this like well, what's the word I'm thinking of? Kind of like this like stepping stone, I guess, or just like
Okay.
this pause from the actual story,
Mm.
where and then they go to like a different one for like one episode or something like this. So that kind of trope for me.
Mm.
Not to say that it was bad or anything, but it just really like became like a recurring thing in my head as I was watching it.
I get that. There's a lot
Um,
of like Mandalorian stuff like that in season 2, where it's like we get a great plot one, the next is a bit like traveling side quests, almost kind of deal. I see where you're
yeah, kind
coming
of. That's what I'm thinking of. It was more of like a side quest thing, outside of like the main story. That's what it felt like to me.
from. Okay.
But I did like the episode. I did like all the relationship between Tommy and Joel, and just like how like Joel was being so um just so bitter about Tommy and his wife like getting together and then having a baby, and like just being so like yeah, like bitter about it. And so there's this little drift between them, and he just goes and says like, you guys just keep Ellie here, and I'll do my own thing, I guess. And then we have that like really great argument scene in I give him one of the child's rooms or something like that, between Joel and Ellie, which was really good. With Ellie saying like, yeah, like everyone I've loved has died, and you don't care about me and all that stuff. And then
Mm.
she references Sarah for the first time, which, yeah, that got Joel to turn like, you're staying here. And for that brief moment, it was intense. Again, not my favorite episode, but I think it was just a solid episode to outside of like everything else that was going on. I guess that's where I was going.
I see with that, man. It does feel like a bit travel, like side quest in a way. I totally agree with that. Brian, what were some of your thoughts on episode 6?
Episode 6 I liked a lot. It definitely did feel different than the other episodes. It's interesting that to think of it as a side quest when Joel's quest for the first 6 episodes was to get to Tommy. So.
Get to Tommy, yeah, it's a little weird, right?
But I kind of see what you guys are saying there with that. But I really liked it. I liked kind of this more intimate, kind of family, drama kind of thing. Tommy and Joel are having these conversations, which are excellent, and you're starting to see kind of the doubt creeping into Joel as Ellie's had to save him. Tess has had to sacrifice herself, and kind of all that through the story. So he's starting to kind of process that, and then coupled with that, Maria, spills the beans that Sarah, died, basically at the beginning of the outbreak, and he's been, living without his daughter, and and mourning for these last 20 years, kind of going through the motions. So when she, kind of brings that up and he blows up on her a little bit, I really liked it, and then it's kind of a battle right there at that point, that I think that Joel's really looking at things, whether he's the best one to protect and shepherd this girl to where she needs to get to, or is Tommy a better fit for that, or can he do it? And then obviously it ends kind of with that big cliffhanger. And I'll speak on behalf of my wife, who has not played the game. She was all very concerned about the cliffhanger at the end. So.
You're right, dude. My girl was also very concerned. I watched this weekly with, if you're a subscriber of Galaxy Film long term, we've had my buddy Drake on the show before as well, talking about Taken in Room, and my buddy Caleb, who's one of my production assistants in my films as well. I watched this weekly at their house, who they both have not played this game, and they screamed at the TV thinking Joel was actually going to die in this show. So absolutely, dude. I attest to that as well. Danilo, what were your thoughts on this, dude? And from not playing the game, did you think Joel was dead in this? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, this episode was interesting. And echoing everyone else, it did feel weird. Even though for the first 6 episodes, like Brian said, their whole goal was to get to Wyoming. But it felt weird when they were there. It felt like they just didn't belong. I felt like they still had to just keep on going. But they didn't. I don't know. It was an alright episode. It wasn't one of my favorites. I think it had a lot of emotional impact when they got into that fight in that bedroom. I thought that was really cool. It started raising some questions about who the hell Joel is. Because obviously, Tommy's wife, right? Yeah, so Tommy's wife didn't like Joel. That was very apparent very early on. She was cautious with him. I guess it would be a better word. She's cautious with him. Telling Ellie, be careful who you trust, everything like that. This episode, though, was where I really started to like Ellie.
Okay.
Because if I was in that situation, I would be talking back just like how Ellie was as well. So I really I didn't mind Ellie before. I thought she was a fine character. She's doing her job, doing good. This is where I was like, oh, I'm on board the Ellie train now. Like Ellie's a tank in this thing. We keep going on to that ending and the cliffhanger, and this is a great segue into episodes 7, 8, and 9, because this is where my HBO logs out. So my HBO's stuck and I cannot watch the show. And then I go on spring break. And then I missed a Sunday, and then I missed another Sunday. What was the Oscar Sunday? Was that the Oscar Sunday when I came back that day?
No, you came. Yeah. You came back Oscar Sunday.
Okay, so I came back home right on Saturday, right before Oscar Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched all 3 of them then. And so I figured Joel would still be alive. But my thoughts when I saw it, before my HBO shut down and all that, was I figured something's going to happen with one of these 2 characters. My thought when I began this this show was, I don't think both of these 2 are getting out of this thing alive. Mm. So if Joel was to die, I would be like, okay, understandable. But I'm like, Ellie is not where she needs to be. I know this game ends where Ellie needs to be. So I'm pretty sure Joel's coming back to life. I wasn't that concerned about Joel. I was like, for a second but I was like, once again, process of elimination. I think Joel has to come back. And then, of course, we saw a spoiler on Facebook with the fucking giraffes. I'm like, cool. Anyway, though, dude, keep on going. Episode 7, we get a whole flashback of Ellie. And she's just young and with her friend. And this is where we find out, Ellie had to kill her friend, which is, once again, pretty tragic. She was part of Fedra. Fuck, it's called.
Fireflies.
Well, no, Ellie was part of Fedra, dude.
Yeah, I'm saying her friend was Fireflies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, her friend was a Firefly.
Yeah. It was cool, dude. They were drinking some alcohol, and I'm like, damn, dude. 20-year, let's say it was like whiskey or bourbon because that shit was dark. That's wicked, dude. I'd be plastered if I'm drinking that many sips that they drank. Just call me a lightweight, whatever, dude. But I would be blasted at that point. But they keep going on. They're chilling or whatever. She has to kill him. Real sad. Upset they didn't show that. If I gotta be honest with you. Keep going on. Then the next episode, dude, is then we're ramping up to the final, dude. Ramping up to the finale. It is a weird fucking episode, dude, but it's a great one. It's with the cult, religion. They're eating humans. It's like, what the fuck is this like pastor guy doing? This guy's a fucking freak. And then we keep going on, dude, and then he tries to, molest her at the end of the episode, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Where the hell's Joel? Joel's recovering. He's not there. Ellie has to save herself, and then they finally get that big hug at the end, dude, and you're like, damn. Joel accepts that he's a dad, and Ellie has now lost any innocence that she did have before. Then we get to the final episode, dude.
Well, hold on. We'll wait for the final episode. We'll wait for that one.
Oh, my bad, dude.
No, you're good. You're good, dog. You're good. We're going to wait for that final episode, because I'm very curious for your thoughts on that, too, dude.
Oh, okay. So yeah, those are 2 episodes, but I watched all 3 of them. I watched all 3 of them back to back. Instead of watching the Oscars, I watched The Last of Us.
That's right. You didn't watch the Oscars live. We were talking about it on our LFG link down below for those people who didn't get a chance to listen to that. We had Brian there. That was a great time, dude. That was the second time we've done the Oscars. Right afterwards. So shameless plug for this episode. Go check that out. But Brandon, what were your thoughts on episode 7, man? 7 and 8, excuse me.
Yeah, because that's episode 7 was the DLC
Yes.
of The Last of Us. So that's what was her friend's name again? What was Ellie's friend's name?
Riley.
Riley, that's right. So yeah, they're at the mall, and this abandoned mall, and it's just nice. It was just a nice episode to see Ellie have like this, I guess this like last final happy moment before she gets hit with the infection, where it's like starting to become prominent into her life now. So I did like how they recreated that from the DLC, and for this like just this last glimpse of, I guess, joy for Ellie, really. Again, like nothing too crazy, but again, another good episode to show that. And then yeah, episode 8 was a real. It was an episode. Shout out to Troy Baker. He was the ally to the preacher guy. So shout out to Troy Baker.
Absolutely.
He was great in that episode too. By the way, I liked I liked how he portrayed it. The guy. Yeah, that episode was just so suspenseful and just so creepy. And when they got to that steakhouse scene, it just brought back flashbacks of me having to replay that scene over and over and over and over again, just to get away from that fucking creep in the video game. So that brought back trauma to me. But I like how it was short and sweet here for this episode. So that was a nice change of pace from my experience of the game. But yeah, this is where, what you guys said, whatever innocence there was left of Ellie was just gone when she just fucking massacred this preacher in the steakhouse with the fire surrounding it and everything. It was and then Joel and Ellie like finally like embrace as this kind of like father-daughter relationship. Not quite, but like it just in spirit. So yeah, it was just a great episode. I was kind of hoping this would be a two-parter, and then which is going to be one of my like little nitpicks with the show, but we'll get with that. We'll discuss that later. So I was actually anticipating this to be a two-part situation, but no, they just kind of all just shrunk it down to one kind of big episode. I think it was like 50 minutes or something like that they did. It was still a great episode, and you could, yeah, it was just a really great episode from.
I feel you, man. Episode 7 is the DLC for the first game. I didn't have ever played the DLC for Last of Us.
Oh, you never played the DLC?
No, so this was completely blind to me. And I really enjoyed having at least one episode. I mean, obviously the Bill and Frank stuff's new. But this was kind of enjoyable to kind of like go into an episode blind for once. I really like that it's this whole thought process of Ellie like remembering during this pivotal moment of saving Joel. I'm not sure if that sequence, that scene of her atop the staircase, is in the game or not. But I really like how this is portrayed in the show for sure. Very tragic. I like the girl that plays Riley. Of course, she's Zendaya's sister in Euphoria, which is kind of funny to me because very early on in this show I said, obviously, this was like this year's Euphoria. It was really cool seeing her do another
props
project.
to her too, because she's having a movie come out too right around this time, so getting a little bit more publicity to her name too, so good for her.
Absolutely. I mean, she gave a great performance in that episode of in season 2 of Euphoria as well, when Rue just loses her fucking shit. We talked about that in the podcast before, didn't you, Lo? So it was really cool seeing her actually have some more weight in this episode as well, in this show. The whole, like, not hidden, but like, the tucked away mall and everyone not knowing that this thing is fully infected is really like fun. You know, it's a weird balance of innocence and like the realization this world is gone complete shit. That I really enjoy of this whole sequence, and in the mall as well is visually just gorgeous with all the lights being turned on, the arcade and whatnot. The big whole episode where Ellie has that battle. You said it best, Brandon. Excuse me. I had to play that fucking boss fight in that steakhouse so many goddamn times.
The worst. It was the worst.
It was so, oh my god. So much pain from that.
So fucking much. I probably spent like an hour at least trying to do that fight, man.
Bro, I probably spent probably longer than that, maybe, right about the same time. It was just so aggravating and annoying to play through.
It was.
In a good way.
And I think what is really cool about this episode, well, cool maybe isn't the right word for this, actually. What I think is very well done of this episode, the weight, is obviously the show, we don't have the chance to sit with that boss fight as long as the game, so the character isn't as creepy. Because he's, in the game, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't attempt to, like, sexually assault Ellie. He just wants to kill her and eat her. Because it's the whole call of like cannibals.
I could have remembered he was like sexually assaulting her, but I guess I haven't played the game in a while, so maybe my memory's a little foggy.
Maybe mine is too, but like I don't remember that at all from the game. So I was like, this is totally like a unique way to make this a lot heavier of a impact for the show. A weird twist. I'm not saying. I think it's very well written. I think it's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Because visually, he's creepier in the game, and in the boss fight, the dude's in the dark, crouching around the corners in the kitchen around the steakhouse. You're constantly having to throw things over your shoulder to like distract him constantly. So it's a really interesting way to make him actually creepier in here for sure. Yeah, man, and I love seeing like Ellie just murder the fuck out of this dude with the knife at the end of this. Just obliterate,
brutalize the dude. Yeah.
Like this was like Art the Clown kind of shit from Terrifier. Is what it felt like. Incredible performance by Bella Ramsey. These 2 episodes really sold me for her as Ellie. You know, at first it was a bit odd. I don't know the actress's name. I'm sorry for this, but one of the girls who's in Booksmart. If you guys have ever seen that film, one of the lead girls in that, I always thought was like that was my number one pick for Ellie. And part of me, and I think I talked about this on the show way back when too, was a bit disappointed that she wasn't cast as Bella Ramsey, especially when it was revealed that she was the runner-up for Ellie in the show. I think she looks more like Ellie and she sounds like her too. So I liked Bella Ramsey throughout the whole show and very early on as well, but part of me always is like, yeah, she's playing Ellie. You know, I never felt that she was Ellie up until these 2 episodes when we're really sitting with her and seeing her transform where all innocence is stripped from her. We're fully in this apocalyptic world, you know. Just this great performance by her for sure. Brian, what were some of your thoughts on these 2 episodes?
Yeah, these 2 episodes were great. So starting with episode 7, Left Behind, the DLC, I really like that. Again, I'll reiterate. You kind of start that episode out with Ellie at the Fedra school camp thing or whatever she's at. So you're getting a little bit of perspective from Fedra, and then obviously you go on this journey into the mall, and the mall looks unbelievable. Good job, set designers and CGI
Really
artists
good.
making that mall come to life. That's amazing. What I really liked about this, I mean, obviously you're exploring, you know, Ellie and their relationship, her and Riley. It's laying kind of the groundwork for what we get later. There was so much like undercurrent of tension in this thing. Like you just knew something bad was going to happen any second, and they did a really good job of pacing it out and just dangling it in front of you and not letting it, you know, get in the way of the story in any kind of way. Just keeping that tension lying in. And then obviously, you know, as they get bit when you know, clicker comes in there. But yeah, I really liked the episode Left Behind. It was one of my favorites of the season. When We Are in Need, also really good. The mall looked great in that episode. I loved the way the steakhouse looked in this episode, where this cult was having their meeting and they were sitting at like these white tablecloth tables in this, you know, vacant steakhouse. I thought that was great. I really liked kind of her interactions, and like you too, Bella Ramsey's really coming into her own as Ellie in these 2 episodes. You know, specifically this one, and you know, partially, you know, no fault to Bella Ramsey. She didn't really have anything to do other than, you know, be quippy and swear and tell jokes like Ellie does, right? Kind of leading up to that. I mean, there were some glimpses of it, you know, especially kind of at the tail end of the Bill and Frank episode, you know, through parts, and especially at the end of the Kansas City section. But you know, really, you know, this was her episode, right? This was her time to shine in this role, and she did. And yeah, I thought it was amazing. I think the sexual assault aspect, I think, was more implied in the game as he kind of tries to recruit her to this cannibal cult, and it strung out a little bit. And I think, Brandon, you said you might have wished this would have been split into 2 episodes or maybe elongated a little bit. I kind of agree to a point, but I also kind of disagree, because that's a lot of time without having Joel, you know, kind of laid up there on that bed over the course of, you know, it's already been, you know, 2 episodes now. So if you add a third one of him, you know, not fully functioning, that could have been a little long in the tooth, maybe. So I could see maybe why they truncated it a little bit. But yeah, obviously then, you know, we're left with Ellie bathed in blood and never to be the same coming in, completely changed going into the final act here.
I think with you guys talking about this, possibly it would have been better being 2 parts. I think if we hadn't had the DLC episode, the Left Behind one, and we just went straight into this, and that would have worked out better to flesh that whole sequence out, because Joel's on the bed, like you said, Brian.
Yeah, I just thought it was a little weird, like having the preacher just to be in one like single episode, because he just seemed like a more of a bigger character than he should be. I guess maybe that's from my recollection of the game.
You're right, because there's a whole sequence where he and Ellie are going against Infected when they're having their little meeting when Troy Baker's character goes off.
Yes. So yeah, maybe that's just what I thought of, because it just seemed more of like again, this like little side quest thing, and he was just like a little mini boss for Ellie to beat, which I mean is true in the game, but it just felt more like it in this episode to me. So that's why I felt like it should have been longer than what we got.
Okay, I feel on that, dude. Danilo, what are your thoughts on episode 7 and 8?
Yeah, so 7 was when they were out drinking and everything, having a good time. I thought that was cool. Really liked it. It's always that old TV trope though of we're gonna show you at least 3/4 of our season, and in the last fourth we're gonna go back to, day one. And I'm like, okay, it's just the same TV formulaic thing that they do. I don't know why. I don't know who started it, but it's just something they do for some reason. And I really like the episode, dude. I like how we learned more about Ellie, and we saw that Ellie like really cared, like for someone at one point, like she really did, And I think that then mirrors how much she cares about Joel, obviously, but in a different sense, because that's her father figure that she now has, where she didn't get one growing up. And if she did, it was the Fedra guy, and it's like, the fuck this Fedra guy. But I am disappointed we didn't see her kill her friend. That did upset me. I was like, I wanted to see that. I felt like I needed to see that more to solidify that Ellie had to do some bad shit. Ellie's been tainted or whatever since basically birth. Like she's not growing up in a good world. She has to do a lot of shitty things. And unfortunately, she has to do these shitty things to survive. Where Joel, on the other hand, kind of did it to like more for beneficial reasons. Where I think it would be good then contrast that with Ellie, where she just had to do it to actually survive. Then we get to the next episode, which was with the pastor and everything. Whoever wrote the pastor and whoever casted that guy did an absolutely phenomenal job with just finding someone who was a fucking creep. And just getting like the lines delivered to cue, basically. Like it was a horrifying performance. Anytime that guy talked, you saw he held authority over every one of his men, and there was always an edge to him. There was always something more he wanted. I just thought the acting by him was phenomenal. And then this episode left me with some questions as well. I was like, okay, since Ellie actually did bit him, is he gonna turn into an infected? Like, I didn't know. Like, maybe it's fledged out in the game, but it made me wonder, like, does he, like, actually fledge out? Who knows? Then also we get the other aspect of it where they're eating humans, and I'm like, well, that's pretty intense. And then going back to, Brian and Brandon, I felt like the episode could have been at least 1.5. Like, maybe not two full episodes, but 1.5. Because when I'm watching Joel kick ass, it's like, okay, dude, like this is probably the most non-believable thing in the show. And I know that's kind of stupid to say when it's a show about infected and everything that they're doing. Like like I get it's a non-believable show, but they keep it believable and they keep me in the world. But this was the only time I felt like I was taken out of it, when Joel was up there and just kicking ass, dude, and like he's torturing them, stabbing them, all that shit. And then once again we see how Joel's just ruthless. Like he's just killing these people. Like we just see how much he cares about Ellie in this episode for sure as well. And the ending obviously was beautiful as well when they come together at the end.
Yeah, truly, dude. Especially that embrace where he's trying to like calm her, like baby girl. That's very emotional. Yeah. Very emotional. Danilo, it's time, man. Let's go ahead and give this recap for the finale.
Yeah, so finale happens. Ellie's just fucking sad and depressed. I don't know who wouldn't be. She's having an out-of-mind experience for a good 20 minutes of this episode. But then her and Joel see a giraffe and they have a good time. They finally get to the lab. They finally get to the Fireflies. The Fireflies are like, yada, yada, yada. We're here to save you guys. Well, they don't really save them. They shoot them and then they tear gas them. It's like, what the fuck, guys? What the hell just happened? Thought we were the same team. Guess not. Joel's now in a hospital room recovering. We see Ellie's mom give birth to Ellie. We then see the girl who then is like helping the doctors with the Fireflies, who has to kill Ellie's mom.
Marlene.
Marlene, who they've been best friends with. Yada yada yada. You keep going on or whatever, and then we go to the hospital, dude. And Pedro's like, or Joel is like, hey, what's up with my girl Ellie, dude? Where is she? And they're like, oh, we're gonna reproduce brain membrane, something, dude. They're just reproducing something where they need to like cut out her brain. And Joel said, fuck that, dog. And he just turns into John Wick, basically. And he takes out the entire fucking crew. And then he takes out Marlene. And then he saves Ellie from getting the treatment and saving the entire planet. Potentially. potentially. We have no idea if it would have ever worked, at least in this game. Maybe it's answered in game number 2. I didn't play it. But anyway, though, dude, they leave. They go back to Wyoming. They're chilling. Before they get to the camp or whatever, Ellie's like, yo, Joel, was all that shit you told me true, man? And Joel's like, yep. And Ellie said, okay. And that's how it ends.
Yeah, man. First of all, I'm very curious because you're the black sheep in the situation. What did you think of the ending for this?
It was very abrupt. I was like, is this really the ending? But I loved what Joel did. When he just went in there and just tore the place up for Ellie, dude. I was like, that's my boy right there. Like, that's some good shit, Joel. Don't lose another, dog. You lost basically everyone else. Don't lose at least one. And if you could have saved her, I'm happy you did, man.
It's fair, man. Very fair.
Yeah. But no, it was just abrupt. I didn't know how this was gonna end. So like, when it was like the end where she's like, "Yep," like okay, and then it just like went to black. I was like, "Oh, okay." But cool. But then it's again, what else did they have to tell? Like they're just going back to Wyoming. It's not like they do anything. So
I feel you.
maybe in part 2 they did some stuff, but I didn't know.
Brandon, what were your thoughts on the finale, man?
So first off, I want to again shout out Ashley Jansen for playing Ellie's mother, which I don't know if you guys caught it, but Ashley Johnson and Bella Ramsey look very similar to each other. So I thought that was like strangely like great casting. So I don't know if anybody caught up on that. I did when I was watching the episode. Like, oh my god, they look very similar. Like they could be mother and daughter. But yeah, Ashley Johnson was great for however time she had in this episode. So it was great seeing her. Great seeing both Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson in the show. Just to make everything just fall together very nicely between the game and the show. So I thought it was a solid season finale. I did like the stuff leading up to the hospital, or like them leading up to the hospital stuff. Them seeing the giraffe was pretty nice. And then they get fucking attacked by Fedra. And then I thought the hospital stuff was a little rushed to my liking. Especially with Joel. Yeah, Joel just going fucking John Wick on everybody in there. They kind of just did a little montage of it, but whatever. In my opinion, I thought it was a little rushed, but I get why. But again, this brought flashbacks to me because I had to replay this scene over and over again in the game too. So I was like, oh my god, back-to-back episodes. Like, enough with the nightmares. So that was fun to revisit just a little bit. I kind of did like Joel kind of lying to Ellie about what happened, just because like what Daniela said, like he doesn't want to lose somebody else again, and he'd rather just like keep it to himself just to protect her, like the one thing he actually did protect. So I thought that was real nice. And then like that final shot of Ellie going up to Joel saying, "Hey, was all that stuff you told me in the car true?" And he just goes, "Yeah." I kind of saw it as a little bit of untrust, just a little bit. Because I'm just gonna say right now, I haven't played the second game.
Okay.
So I don't know like from beginning to end what happens in it. I just kind of know bits and pieces. But from my experience, this was a really good cliffhanger for season 2. I thought it was a very interesting cliffhanger to kind of go into season 2 whenever that comes out. So yeah, solid episode. Kind of was expecting more. Like it was really short for being the season finale. I thought we would at least get an hour of this. But yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
I feel you, man. I adore the kind of the cold open with Anna, Ellie's mom in this. I think we kind of even from like the trailer, seeing her, Ashley Johnson's face in this. 'Cause obviously, she's the voice of Ellie in the game. But it's really, really neat that we finally in the show get the question that fans have been asking for literally almost 10 years now: how Ellie is immune. That's really interesting. Obviously, we see her give birth, which is shocking. That like the adrenaline's pumping so high for going into that clicker head to head that she doesn't even realize she has the baby right then and there. Really, really like heartbreaking knowing that you got bit, gotta cut that umbilical cord really, really quick. I adore that scene, man. I adore how sad Marlene was about the situation, but having to just kind of suck it up and get it over with. Because it's a very, very quick death for her at that moment. My only issue with this episode was if I'm not mistaken, how the fireflies like come up to them is totally different. Because don't they get stuck in like a tunnel, like a river, and get caught into the water, and as they're like coming up, the fireflies like save them? If I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Yeah, man.
That does sound very familiar.
Like the giraffe scene's great, of course. Very happy to use an actual giraffe too. Really nice to see some practical stuff going on there.
Wait, was it an actual giraffe?
Yeah, it's an actual giraffe.
Oh, it did look CGI to me, but if it was real, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it did look a little funky. I think just everything else was CGI. So it's like
it could be, maybe that could be.
Yeah. So great scene, of course, of that, but the fireflies coming does feel a little bit abrupt. Like it is a weird transition to the hospital. I will admit that. As far as the hospital stuff goes, it feels longer because you're playing Joel, going room to room, hall to hall, taking everybody out. And part of me does wish the hospital sequence was a bit longer almost. But as far as Joel's actions going through and wiping everybody out, that is heavy as hell. I like that it's just completely silent during the whole thing. The lingering shots are incredible. It's very heavy hitting. They're like from start to finish in that whole sequence. I'm very glad that the nurse gets some lines, some dialogue. Obviously, Ryan, I'm going with this when we see Joel enter in the operating room. Also, we get a nice cameo again, one of the voice actresses for Abby, who is one of the nurses as well in this sequence, which is a nice little surprise.
I think it was
cameo.
Laura Bailey, right? Laura Bailey?
Yeah. So it's nice seeing a little last-minute cameo pushed in here, too. And obviously, we all know the ending, well, other than Neil in this situation. We all knew where this ending was going, and I'm very glad it stuck to its guns and stuck to the source material. I was really worried that it wouldn't be an abrupt ending, honestly. And I know there was debate apparently recently, too, came out that the writers were debating having them go down the hill, and we see them walk off into Jackson for the show, compared to it being abrupt just like the game. So I was very thrilled to see that sequence stay the same. The Marlene death hit just as hard as the game for me. But I was very impressed by how Joel's actions, it was definitely a situation where less was more. Right? Don't have to spend a whole 10-minute sequence of him going through every room. I don't have to see him ducking for cover like we are in the game, you know?
That's true.
That was very well put together, very well directed and edited, for sure. I love this finale, from start to finish, basically. It's kind of odd, the pacing, just because we have played the game. But as far as just from looking at the show alone, I think it's an incredible finale. It's just a weird thing comparing constantly. But that's, as someone who's played the game, that's what you're going to do back and forth. That's part of the fun with this, for sure. Brian, what were your thoughts on the finale?
Yeah, the finale was great, and one of the things about The Last of Us, just as a video game series, is it's not. I don't want to say that it's divisive, but it definitely is like a thought exercise that people have in the way that you interpret things and the decisions that are made. So I think that this finale does a really good job as holding true to that. I think that you get a lot of the same kind of feelings about the way this played out here too. I love the opening sequence with the mother and Marlene. That was fantastic, and I really like kind of the opening sequence then with Joel and Ellie where they're having their truths. Danilo mentioned it. I think Brandon did too. In the Left Behind, you wanted to see Ellie kill Riley in that mall, but that takes the entire momentum out of this conversation that they're having, where Ellie tells Joel that the first person that she killed was Riley. That conversation doesn't mean anything if we would have seen it 2 episodes ago. So I think that's really important, and I really like the way that was handled. There, obviously, the giraffe is amazing. Love a giraffe. Have giraffes in more shows. That would be great. I did think that the hospital sequence was maybe a little short. Although I would say in most instances I would rather things be a little short than a little long. So I'm okay with that. I do wish that maybe this could have been, even with what we got, maybe had it just been re-edited a little bit to cut in, Marlene sacrificing, Ellie's mother, you know, gunning her down there. If that would have been spliced in maybe a little bit later when she was having that conversation with Joel as a way to kind of pit, Ellie's soul and life as a battle between her surrogate mother and her surrogate father. I thought that would have been interesting and a way to play off of that a little bit more. But and then obviously the ending, it just kind of hits right there, and you're left wondering whether Joel did the right thing or not, which is how the game ends, and it's how the show ended, and I liked it a lot. I have very little complaints about the way they wrapped it up. So
I agree, man. I agree. Like you said, the show leaves you wondering, because it's a weird situation of Joel's actions, because Joel's not a good person per se, but you have to question whether he's right or wrong just because of it. Danilo, I know you gave some of your thoughts earlier at the beginning of this segment, but what are your overall thoughts on this finale? Now we've gone full spoilers for it.
Well, they gave it the Godfather treatment, and that was the only thing, I'd say, how I felt after, watching this. Ellie knows that Joel's lying to her, but she just, chooses to believe the truth, is, my interpretation of it. She just chooses to believe Joel because we get that line before saying, she'll follow him until the end of the world. So, it doesn't matter what Joel says. She's going to believe it just so she can, try and have some peace, I guess. But yeah, the hospital sequence, I don't know. It didn't feel too short to me. It didn't feel too long. It felt fine. But the sound design when he went tank mode was pretty cool for sure. Where it was the theme slowed down and muffled, that was it, and then the sound was muffled. Sound design was really good on that. The thing, my problem was this whole episode was why the fuck the Fireflies kind of just attacked them instantly? Didn't they know they were coming? Doesn't Marlene know what this girl looks like? I didn't understand what the whole attacking part was. It just seemed a bit out of place, in my opinion. Just all right, they get to the science lab and they just got attacked, but they're gonna help you. What the hell? But whatever. But I did watch then gameplay of the end of this, because I was wondering, is this really how the game ends? Was it that abrupt just like that? And it was. I was like, well, that's pretty cool, actually. Sets up for just interpretations and theories and all that fun stuff. Because obviously I don't think anyone, I don't know when the second game came out, how long after this one came out, but,
It came out in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I was at my old apartment when it came out.
Yeah, so it probably wasn't in the works, though, when this game was announced and then ended, So, when people played it, they were like, oh, cool ending.
Yeah. I feel you on that, man. I feel you on that. So let me go ahead and ask you this, man. As a whole, now we've talked episode by episode, basically, for this whole show. As a whole, what are your thoughts on this, The Last of Us?
I really loved it. I loved everything about it. I thought it was great. I thought we saw a nice relationship flourish. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a show about loss, just everyone losing someone, and how they deal with it, and how they choose not to deal with it almost. Joel couldn't have dealt with the fact he was about to lose Ellie again. He would lose his daughter again, Whether that be his adopted daughter or whatever, dude, he couldn't handle that fact. So that's what he did. We see it throughout this entire show, just how everyone deals with the loss in different ways. I just thought it was a really interesting concept for a show too, with like Brian said earlier as well, a backdrop of zombies, but it's just basically about humans and how they interact with one another, and how their relationships are formed. So I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. Thought it was the right amount of episodes. Didn't seem like it was too many. Didn't seem like it was too short. Felt like they hit the sweet spot with 9. And they were able to tell a 20-hour story, if that's what the gameplay is, in 9, 10, and 11 hours, let's say. So I thought they did a pretty good job.
Okay, what would you rate the show as a whole?
Probably a Bespin on its way to Coruscant for sure. Those middle 2 episodes are the only thing really that's holding it back. And it took me a while to get on board with Ellie, but once I was on board, I was on board. So it makes me kind of want to rewatch it, knowing what I know now. Seeing if I warm up to Ellie a bit more earlier than I did, But no, it's for sure Bespin on its way to Coruscant. I loved it. That was great, though.
This is thankfully getting a physical release in Steelbook as well, so maybe you can pick that up to rewatch it sometime.
I had no idea. Thank you, HBO.
It's like a 4K at that, too.
Apple TV, if you would like to do that, that would be excellent. Because I would love to have Ted Lasso physically. But
Brandon, what is your thoughts on the show as a whole and your rating for this thing?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed the show. The themes and the emotional bits to it just shine throughout this whole show. Like Danilo said, this was a show about loss and trying to find something in this life to like really care for and to love. And I kind of find the similarities of how I feel about Everything Everywhere All at Once, kind of like the same kind of thematic elements to it, in my opinion. I think the whole cast shined. I wouldn't change any. I wouldn't change any casting choice. Pedro Pascal is on such a roll right now, and I think it's great. He's just such a likable and just kind of cool guy, And having this show and then Mandalorian, just kind of like, interloping between each other, or kind of like interacting with each other, is nice for his career. Nice for him. Bella Ramsey, I think, was really, really, really good in this whole show. As like you guys are saying, as the show was going on, she was getting better and better with her character and really like embodying Ellie as a character. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would have maybe 1, maybe 2 episodes at the most. But yeah, I wouldn't have it any more than that. I mean, 9 was, was like right enough for the story to be told, the way, honestly, it really should be. Yeah, I would give this definitely a best spin for sure. I mean, I have, definitely little minor minor nitpicks and gripes with it. But I mean, they don't overshadow like the whole beauty of what the show really is about, and it really does justice to the game. Just kind of incorporating it, like with it being its own thing while also being an adaptation. And again, like I said earlier, it was. I'm really glad Neil Druckmann was a showrunner for this show. He also wrote the show too, right?
And he directed an episode too as well.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that he was just full on board with this, because this was his baby, in a sense. So I'm glad he was able to be a part of it and tell it the way he wanted to tell it, which makes the changes in itself that much more for the better, at least, just because it was his show, or it was his story to begin with, so he's able to do however he wants with the story for the show. But yeah, Bestman all the way, no doubt.
Okay, man, I feel you. For me as well, dude. Like, I do have some gripes with this piece, obviously, with this show as a whole, comparing it to the game. And those flaws don't overshadow anything, like you said as well, for the most part. But when I'm not comparing this to the game, as just The Last of Us HBO, basically, I don't mind that the infected aren't as prominent. I don't mind that the fungi, the whole, like, the spore stuff. The spores are a complete, huge, like, gameplay mechanic within the system. Like, it's constantly brought up. It's constantly brought up in the sequel as well. That's completely absent from this. So despite there being less infected, no spores, we're not really having those weird long-term banter moments where we're doing like the puzzle sequences going through some of like the elevator shafts or like the basement boiler rooms in certain buildings, stuff like that. Despite all that being absent or just changed a bit, I really like the flow of this show. This is a Coruscant for me. I was completely impressed with this. This makes me really, really wish that Uncharted got a show treatment instead of that shitty movie last year.
Yeah.
Really, really wish that was better. I can't wait for Season 2. I hope Season 2 improves on this, and I think the best way Season 2 can, and I think they are going this direction, is if Part 2 is multiple seasons broken up. I know that we're confirmed for, I think, 2 full seasons for Part 2 story. I honestly hope we get a third. It's 3 different chopped up sections. I know Brian knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it because both you and Neil haven't played this yet. But man, I just can't wait to see how this tops further with the sequel. I really can't wait for it. This is a Coruscant for sure. Really, really enjoyed this. And Pedro's on a roll, like you said, Brandon. Not just that, he has a short film coming out too with Ethan Hawke, which I can't wait for. That'll be really cool to see.
Oh yeah, kind of like the short film, like Brokeback Mountain kind of short film, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be like half an hour long. That comes out soon, so he's really on a roll, man.
Yeah, he's on a hot streak right now. Good for him.
Yeah, by all means.
All started because of Wonder Woman.
Shout out to Wonder Woman 1984.
Dang, that dude blows my mind. That was our 3rd podcast episode. Blows my fucking mind. We did that with Soul. Can you believe that, Danilo?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Wonder Woman 1984 was better than Shazam that you just talked about earlier.
I like 1984, dude. I don't know what anyone's saying. I like that movie.
Yeah, you would, dude. You would. So.
We got a comment here saying Pedro can do no wrong. Absolutely fucking right, dude. Pedro can't. Brian,
Fact.
What is your final thoughts and ratings on The Last of Us as a whole?
So not much else to add beyond what you guys said. This was an excellent adaptation. You have your best adapted screenplay Oscar. If there was one for video game adaptation, this would take the prize there for sure. It did so much stuff that was excellent for people who had played the game, right? It was enough of an homage to the game, but expanded upon what we knew, what we could learn. Story beats that you don't get, right? If you don't go around and read all of those little pieces of paper you find on the ground, you don't learn half of the stuff that we just saw in the TV show, and that's amazing. It did an excellent job of bringing in people who haven't played the game. Danilo, you watched it, you loved it. Never played the game, so obviously it was there for that. And I've played the game. I played the game several times on multiple different versions of PlayStation systems. So the story is very, very dear to me. So the exciting thing for me, like I said at the top, was watching this every week with my wife, who had no idea about the story, and seeing how she reacted to it, how she responded to all of these beloved characters that we're meeting, and meet their brutal end. That was as much fun as playing the game and taking the story in for me in the first place. So on that level, it was excellent. The acting was excellent, the direction was excellent, the writing was excellent, and I can't wait for part 2. It's a story that I like probably even better than this one, to be honest. So I'm really excited to see what they do and how they can handle it and improve on it, and just keep bringing us the story, because it's a great one that people need to hear. So Coruscant for me, I'm very excited about it, and now we've seen the whole series, so I'm excited to go back and kind of do like some pseudo binge over a weekend, take this whole thing in one sitting and see how I feel about it again after that. But yeah, absolutely loved it. It was great.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Just out of curiosity, for Max and Brian, for non-spoilery, because I probably will end up playing this game. How do you guys feel about Last of Us Part 2? Because I know it's very divisive amongst the audience, so I would just kind of want to know what your general review of it is.
I really like Part 2. However, I understand why people get upset about some of the story choices. For me, it's a weird thing. I compare Last of Us Part 2 to Last Jedi quite frequently. Because I have majors of Last Jedi that some people don't have issues with, and it's very comparable to this. I think why I like Part 2 so much is because I didn't play Part 1 immediately when it came out. So I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't have as much as a long-term connection to that first game. But I like part 2. I think gameplay-wise, it blows the first one out of the water. You know, I haven't played the PS5 remake, which I assume incorporates some of the mechanics and different play styles from part 2 into the part 1 now. But just from going from the PS4 remaster to part 2 on PS4, part 2 plays so well. It's so much fun. Its gameplay is almost flawless, I'd say. It's very well done. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, so I'd played part 1 several times before I played part 2, which came out in 2020, right before everyone went into lockdown. And if I do recall, I think someone at Naughty Dog like leaked the script or something right
they
before
leaked gameplay and script.
So people read it, and then it got review bombed to hell for all the reasons that trolls on the internet review bomb things. So you can go ahead and figure that out for yourself. I'm not going to get into any of that. So I think it was kind of always fighting an uphill battle, because then people saw that and were like, oh, well, this isn't going to be as good as the first one. Throw it away. But I love it. It's brilliant, The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, like I said, I probably, if you made me pick, that would be a really, really mean thing to do. But yeah, Last of Us Part 2, I think is my favorite of the 2 stories, I think.
I don't blame you. Two does more as well, which is really interesting. I have the Mondo soundtracks as well, dude, which are just incredible for both games. I also have the covers soundtrack for the sequel as well.
Oh, nice.
So good, dude. I'm very glad some of those songs got to make it into the show as well. Really just adds on to that experience if you played both of them previously, So damn good. So damn good. Danilo, man, I think it's going to wrap it up for this week, bro.
I think that does indeed, man. I think that does indeed.
What we got going on next week, bro? Do you know?
We got John Wick, dude. A trilogy that I love that has now been turned into a quadrilogy. So I'm pumped for that, dude. Rest in peace to the man, though, who passed away, though, just the other day from the franchise.
Lance Reddick.
Yeah, very sad, man. Very sad. When I saw that, I was a bit sad. I was like, damn, dude. I really liked him in John Wick. Don't know him from other work, but it was sad, man.
He's in Lost as well. You mentioned Lost earlier.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
Oh. He was in Lost. He's in The Wire. He was in like a million things.
The Wire, yeah. And that was his other one. Yeah, no, he's a good actor.
Yeah, man. I know he's voicing Hellboy in an upcoming project, in like an animated film, which would be pretty cool.
Cool.
Rest in peace. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, John Wick's next week. Very excited for those. I haven't seen 2 or 3, so it'll be first time watches for me. Pretty pumped for that. 4 is getting incredible reviews so far, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. I might take a trip out home to the good old AMC Dolby, because last time, dude, John Wick 3, they were in like the desert or something. Mm-hmm. All you heard was gunfire for 5 minutes in the Dolby theater, dude. I'm not kidding. You'll get to, exactly what scene I get to. It's him and whatever the girl was who was with them, and they're just firing, dude, on all cylinders, literally. And then 2 dogs come in, but for 5 minutes you're just hearing gunfire, dude, in the Dolby theater. It was kind of cool, dude. It was kind of cool.
Dang, I can't wait to watch that, dude. I have the collector's edition of 3 for some reason, the little coin. So, ready to give that a watch finally. But yeah, man, we also got an LFG dropping this week talking Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Check that out. I had Gamer Harold with me and also Alex Reams, my cinematographer. But yeah, check those out. Brian, of course, I appreciate you coming on, man. You're no stranger to the show. You're always welcome back on here. You're here every other week for us, obviously. Where can our listeners find you and your podcasts, both of them, if they don't follow you already, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. It's always a good time to come on and chat with you guys and talk about movies and TV shows, all that stuff. You can find me and my podcasts wherever you're listening to this one. You can go to Drink the Movies. We're doing a movie and a cocktail each week. We're doing the first John Wick this coming week, so we'll have to compare notes there on that one, because I've never seen any of the John Wicks. So I gotta watch 3 John Wicks this week so I can get ready for John Wick 4. So doing that, and then the Old Republic podcast, which is a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic theme podcast. But we do branch out from time to time, and our Last of Us episode comes out this Friday. So if this wasn't enough Last of Us chat, you can go check that one out on Friday when that one comes out. So, yeah, check them out if you feel like it. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man. Definitely check it out, guys. Links down below, all as well. Next, dude, I don't know, man. I'm expecting for you to incorporate a hollow Batgirl into your show at some point.
I might have to do that. I need to search out this bar and figure it out. See if I can get some like CCTV footage of you up on the table dancing, drinking your drink, Gwen Stefani style. Come on.
Hell yeah, man. That'd be great. We'll have to rip it sometime, man. Right after the
There you
Four
go.
Loko of Kevin Smith. Right after the Four Loko.
That's right. That's right.
I
Yeah.
can't wait, dude. I can't wait, man.
God. Kevin, I need you to reply to my tweet, dog. I'm trying to get you on here, man. That's shout out to you,
That's right.
bro. Shout
Let's
out to you. Gosh. For our listeners, go ahead, join our Facebook fan club, the Galaxy Film Fan Group, to find out if there's some exclusive and early release stuff going on. Danilo, your film, Catalina's Curse, is now available and is officially the highest viewed thing on our channel, dude. You've beaten my film Like a Surgeon. Congratulations to that, man. Very proud of how your film's doing, man. Couldn't be more proud of it. So,
Thank you.
listeners, check that out if you haven't already. It's a great watch. It's 16-ish minutes long, so why wouldn't you
Yeah.
watch it, It's shorter than Last of Us.
Yeah, something to do. Turn it on. Put it in the background while you're eating your bowl of cereal, while you're cooking. Who knows, dude? Just turn it on. But to everyone out there who has watched it, thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate it.
And
Love all of you.
after,
Love all of you.
after you get done watching Catalina's Curse, go ahead and watch my film, Like a Surgeon. It's on the YouTube channel and the website as well. And after you're done with that, go ahead and have yourself a little Galaxy of Film marathon. Because, Brandon, you also have 2 short films on our YouTube channel currently and website.
I do, yes. One is, I believe, called Knock Knock. It was one of 2 short films that I did during college, and I also did one. I wish I could remember the name of it at the top of my head. But also,
Bruh.
please go watch that.
Come on, man.
Oh, it was called One Day. One Day. It was called One Day.
You are selling it.
Come on, man. You got those mics
I,
in
know,
you.
I am a salesman. Believe me.
Dude.
So yeah, they're one's called One Day, and the other one is called Knock Knock. Please go watch those on the Galaxy of Film YouTube channel. I would appreciate it if you did. Also, please, yeah, I know we said it already. Definitely do watch Danilo's Catalina's Curse short film. I was there when he first started working on it. He put so much passion into this project, and I hope he does great things with the short film. I know I've seen it. It's really good. Definitely, please. I highly recommend it. Go watch it.
Absolutely,
Thank you,
man.
Brandon. Thank you. And that's funny, dude. Brandon was actually the first one who was there, dude. We sat next together in class. And
I know,
told him,
yeah.
I said,
We were-
Brandon, I wrote this in about 2 days.
Yeah, you did. We were editing it about the same time. Our last videos before we graduated. So
We did, yeah, dude. We spent some late nights out in, what was it? What was that hall called? West
it was,
Hall or something?
Hannah Hall, actually. I think it was
Hannah
called
Hall, yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember we met up there a few times. It was like late at night, dude, and we were out there editing. So that was a good time, man. That was a good time.
Oh yeah, you definitely put in a lot of work into that, the way you wanted it. So yeah, great watch.
Shout out to Oakland University.
Shout
Absolutely,
out to
man.
Oakland University.
Absolutely, guys. Stay tuned for more. Go ahead and hit subscribe. I got my next short film I'm in production for as well, Distinguished. That's coming out soon. Can't wait to shoot that in the next couple weeks. We're talking John Wick next week on the show. Obviously, we talk Shazam this week. If you're watching this live, that drops tomorrow for you guys. However, if you're listening to the podcast on Thursdays, one of our early morning listeners, shout out to you, Harold. Yeah, that LFG is already out. So check it out, guys. Why not? Go ahead and spend some time with us. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, all at Galaxy of Film. Join the Facebook fan club titled the Galaxy of Film Fan Group. Our buddy Shamim runs that. He's our director of fan relations. Shout out to you. Yeah, man, he does a lot for us promotion-wise and helping spread the word of Galaxy of Film, man. It's a good show we got going on. But also, if you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and please consider leaving us an iTunes and Spotify review. It truly does help the show much more than you can imagine, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.